Today, we're surviving a tornado with L'Officiel, flying high with Vogue Portugal, and going to infinity and beyond with Vogue US. If you're ready to dissect this month's covers, hit that like button and let's get started on December's Battle of the Covers. Starting off with Vogue US, we have Timothy Chalamet by Annie Leibovitz, and after selling his soul to the devil, aka the family, I think this is the cover he deserves. I mean, Lauren Sanchez Bezos thinks this cover is just incredible, and she is someone we should all respect as an authority on what is beautiful. Let's start with the positives. Okay, now that we have the niceties out of the way, we can have an objective discussion on what went wrong here. The most obvious issue with the cover is this beautiful photograph provided by NASA by the Hubble telescope. Of course he's going to look silly when they have him standing in space, but at least if they had him in motion, the narrative would have made more sense. You can get away with an outlandish idea, something entirely fantastical, but every element needs to be working in cohesion to tell that story, whereas here, everything is fighting it. Eric McNeil styled this shoot. He is Timmy's personal stylist, and I think he has a lot of blame to take here. The unlaced boots are unforgivable. It is at the top of my styling pet peeves. The boots can be unlaced if the subject is putting them on, taking them off, but not when the look is supposed to be done. Why is he wearing this beautiful watch, but his pants are sagging and his black underwear is showing? The cold white roll neck with this cream overcoat is clashing, but not in an interesting way. He is wearing Celine. He should be wearing Rick Owens, something from his friend Hader Ackerman. There are many designers that have pieces that read as futuristic and would have been a better fit. In the rest of the editorial, we have this jumping picture, just terrible and cheap looking, and I can't believe this was the shot that looked the best when his sweatshirt is lifted, bringing his belly forward and chest back in a very unflattering way. These two images are the least bad, very standard GQ type celebrity portrait. This one would have made a better mediocre cover if it was in color. The rest of the photos are just landscapes that are made worse by his presence in them. Millie Bobby Brown covers British Vogue. Not a bad cover of her. This knit dress photographs really well. The shadows and textures lend itself to editorial photography, and the red pops against the green background. Her hair is perfectly imperfect, and there is enough separation from her arms and her body to establish her silhouette, something essential in a garment this visually heavy. There are some lovely photos in the editorial as well, although I don't know why so many of the shots are up her nose, but there is a sweetness to the pictures. Mona Tugard and Irina Shayk cover Vogue France. This looks like a campaign for Express. The editorial is a bunch of backstage images. I'm so sorry the people of France are being insulted with this low quality of fashion imagery. Carin Backoff, why would you have a shoot with these gorgeous women and have this flaccid result? 3 boring studio covers for Vogue Italia. This one of Divine Mugisha is the best of them. The collar of this dress is a good frame. She looks good, but it's just not that impactful of a cover. Are we trying to check a task off a list or make something beautiful, thought-provoking, imagery that will linger? Really nothing to say about the other covers besides that they are so uninspiring I've already forgotten them. Jackie Hooper covers Harper's Bazaar France. I wouldn't say it's the most memorable cover of the year, but the concept is clear and the execution is good. It immediately reads as a winter cover, not just from the sweater, but the cool temperature of the highlights. I can feel the cold winter air blowing her hair a bit, cheeks flushed. Pleasant, not groundbreaking, overall nice. Ariana Grande covers Interview magazine. Not a fan of this cover or the editorial. The greatest problem with the cover is the lack of vision and intention because this coat with these curly pigtails are not cohesive. The texture of this coat wants a sleek updo, a severe blunt bob, but not these schoolgirl curled pigtails. This background is black via Photoshop. It's the same gray as the rest of the photos that they darkened, leading to this horrible masking at the netting of the fascinator. If they wanted the black background, they should have shot it in real life with a rim light aimed at the back corner of her head to separate her from the background. This image is so similar to the cover, it didn't need to be included. Her face is exactly the same. This portrait looks like they did a high-pass filter in Photoshop to enhance the texture as well as digital noise, but especially with the deep depth of field, it really ruins the image. I don't think there is a single redeemable image in the entire shoot, a real waste of her time and ours from Inez and Vinoodh. Lady Gaga covers Rolling Stone magazine. I think this is possibly the best images I've seen from photographer Greg Swales. The fleshy carrot fingers aside, this harsh lighting is making such beautiful shadows on her face. I love this area around her eye especially. Only one of these photos should have been selected. They are too similar to each other to keep both, but my favorites are these two portraits. This was probably an alternate for the cover. Her eyes are mesmerizing, but I'm even more drawn in by the movement here. Gaga is not just passively being photographed here. You can see there is an emotion in her eyes. She is playing a character. You can see a pensive expression, a backstory. Rolling Stone is very hit or miss, but this was a good cover for them. Vogue España has a special cover featuring Las Mujeres del Flamenco, but I don't think the execution lives up to the importance of these women to Spanish culture. Yeah, there is a motion blur, but this cover doesn't feel dynamic. There's just a floating, faint expression of a woman against an even fainter bunch of sitting women. There is so much they could have done here, but this is a disappointment. If you want to cleanse yourself from this cover with something fantastic, watch this Fall-Winter 2007 Christian Dior Haute Couture collection by John Galliano, where he featured flamenco performers. It is my favorite Haute Couture collection ever, a true spectacle. Vanity Fair's Hollywood issue features their new class of leading men, clearly inspired by alleged serial assaulter Bruce Weber. The only thing missing is the golden retrievers he would use for a false sense of security. Allegedly. Honestly, I'm not even mad about the reference. At least Vanity Fair is ripping off Weber's work rather than hiring him. This is my favorite of the three covers. A few specific elements make it successful. These colored pants are an act of violence, but they do work graphically. I'm not sure why Andrew Garfield is the only one not in a bow tie, but it's not that distracting. Unfortunately, Jonathan Bailey is the one who got the short end of the stick here. We get a lot of his legs here, but less torso, and his shoulders are the most shrugged, so he has the least impactful presence here. His leg that is against Riz Ahmed would have been better tucked under him. Harris Dickinson is clearly the most model-esque of the bunch. The others are projecting handsomeness, but Harris has something else entirely behind the eyes. A proper model portraying a character. The umbrella doesn't make as much sense with the narrative, given how bright the background is and that you wouldn't need it if their scripts are strewn about on the grass, but it does a great job framing the subjects and guiding your eye to Harris's hand. This cover is fine. I think the casual nature of the image helps a lot. There is more chemistry between the subjects and they feel authentic. This is my least favorite of the three covers. They look uncomfortable with each other, not to mention A$AP Rocky wearing socks on the beach like some kind of pervert. What type of fungus or gnarled hooves are you hiding, young man? Audrey Nuna covers Vogue Singapore, so much better than the boring shoots of Vogue France and Vogue Italia this month. It doesn't take a lot of money to produce a good cover, it takes artistic vision, and that's what we have here. Take away the text, and this is an image I could see hanging on someone's wall. The use of colors is fantastic, the yellow and pink, the blue eyeshadow with the reds and oranges of her skin. It's harmonious without being flat or boring. 10 out of 10 for this cover. 5 covers of Vogue Portugal. This one of Taylor Hill as Amelia Earhart is my favorite. The composition feels very Alexei Brodovich / Alexander Lieberman in the 1950s, but the helmet is causing the look to teeter on costume. The blue and yellow of the plane photograph very nicely. Her pose is good. I just would have preferred this with her hair showing. The fashion film they shot shows some other beautiful moments. In this portrait of Tessa Jean, I love how the tip of the feather over her eye is making it look like she has a contact lens. Very dark and mysterious, not the Christmas red you expect for a December issue. The feather is framing her face, the makeup is great, an unexpected and bold cover for their Dare to be Bold issue. The 2 covers of Alla Bruletova are the ones I don't care for as much, they just seem very stagnant in comparison. The jewelry supplement is a beautiful portrait. Not sure if it was necessary to have it cropped so tight to where the eyes are this high, but I like the blue x-ray text to match the stones of the necklace. Suganya covers Vogue Philippines. I like the texture in her clothes, but the wow factor is missing here. Hands are such an expressive part of the body. It's a shame that we have both underutilized here. The model is beautiful, but I won't be remembering this cover in a few months. Marianne Jonkman covers Vogue Netherlands with her husband and daughter. I knew as soon as they got together that they were going to try to do a Francisco Lachowski / Jessiane Gravel, pimping out their pregnancy and kid as soon as they could. The cover is actually pretty good for what is normally one of the worst Vogue editions. The story reads as rocker dad with model wife. He is focused on his music while the party girl is stuck with the baby, but wishes she could go back to her diet of cigarettes and after parties. I will say, a lot of this editorial seems to be showing off how extremely thin Marianne is, and especially with how young her child is, and knowing what I know about her, I don't think it's a great image to be broadcasting. Giselle covers Vogue Brazil. My favorite of the covers is this portrait. Yes, it's very simple and conventional, but her angular face is carved out beautifully by the highlights and shadows. Something other than clear nail polish would have been nice to spice up this image, but otherwise, not much to complain about. This look she is wearing, I just find it particularly hideous. I need some type of story to give context to this so I can better understand it, but as is, not in love with this cover. This jacket looks like a wrinkly old football, contrasted by her extremely tight face with sleek hair. It's fine, I just don't like the windblown heavy leather ribbons with her hair so perfectly slicked back. I would have preferred this with some windswept hair as well. Penelope Tarrant covers Vogue Germany. The text across the entire image is too distracting. The story is about handcraft, and the text is making it difficult to see the detail in the garment. I like the rows of ceramics behind her, but I would have preferred if the photo was zoomed in more so we could see more of the beading and details of the garment. 7 covers for Dazed, all forgettable. I just want to point out this cover by Anthony Seclavi. What is the biggest issue you see at first glance? For me, it's immediately the fact that whatever she has on her head is making her blend into the background. I can't tell if it's a hat or what, but it's such a strange decision. As always, it's such an eye roll when they are exposing the equipment. So raw and edgy. Jisoo covers El Korea. This was my favorite of the covers. The hair and makeup is so fresh and unexpected for Jisoo. The one thing I wish was different is that somehow her hands were included in the photo, especially her left one to create some shape and negative space. This cover is cute as well, better posed arms here, but this crop at her shins would have been better if it was full length and her feet were doing something asymmetrical, like one foot lifted. The other 2 covers with the long hair are pretty, but more safe. Overall, nice covers this month for El Korea. Gabriel Kemple covers Harper's Bazaar Italia. I don't know the meaning of these little white boxes on the image. I wish his eye was just a little bit more visible since it's a cover. I wouldn't have minded it as much in the pages of the story. Alistair McClellan is easily one of my favorite contemporary fashion photographers, but this cover just doesn't connect with me like most of his work. In the editorial, however, I think there are much more compelling images in this very gender-fluid story. I think the ginger hair works better graphically in this image. The black suit and coat are more grounding and offer a balance so that the hair and flower can be the focal points. In the cover, so much of it is red and orange, we don't have the same contrast to make it really pop. This image is haunting and beautiful. It's a fashionable horror monster with so much texture and grit. This is gorgeous as well. I love the composition of their bodies, the balance of black and white. It makes me stop and take time to look at the photo. This red gown, incredible, matched by Charlie's incredible face. Despite the cover not being my favorite, this editorial is a home run. 3 covers for Vogue Czechoslovakia. This one is excellent and proof that you don't need a lot of money to create something striking. You need a good idea and an eye for composition. The outstretched hands of the models guide your eye across the covers in the same way the red string does, but they also create negative space that establishes their silhouettes. The styling is not my favorite, but the image is so strong that it doesn't really matter what they're wearing. The editorial as well, banger after banger. The photographer, Michal Pudelka, knows how to use color and a prop to create a strong image. Alexa Chung's cover and images are pretty boring. They definitely have a mediocre celebrity cover feeling to them, rather than a cover with a model, which is a shame. She photographs so well. I think this cover would have been greatly improved without this hat, especially with this pointy bra. Her hair should have been up and pulling the energy in that direction. This round hat is a dampener on the energy of the photo. This is my least favorite of the 3 covers. Using 2 photos of the same person, barely different poses, the styling feels cheap. Alessandra Ambrosio covers Harper's Bazaar Turkey. I have 2 main points of contention on this cover and the editorial. My main problem is the retouching of her skin across all the images. The lack of skin texture is distracting because we can see the texture on all of her clothes. This makes the images look so cheap. My second issue is the tilted horizons. If that's what you think your photography needs to be interesting, try again. Michelle Yeoh covers L'Officiel. I love the drama of this cover. Her wicked character controls the weather. This flurry of hair is a nod to that, but she looks incredibly fashionable and cool. The ruched fabric photographs very well. Her pose is excellent. This is a 10 out of 10 cover. Jung Chin-wen covers Vogue China, an incredible cover of the tennis star. She looks like a model across all the images. Especially if you compare this cover to the recent covers of Coco Gauff and Naomi Osaka, this one blows them out of the water. The execution is so excellent and should be the new standard. There is a lot to like here, but let me break it down. Her pose is one of the most successful elements in the photo because it draws your eye across the image, using the black of the shoes as a visual hook, then pulling you up her legs with the bright green coat as the reward. Her wind-blown hair adds movement where everything else is stationary. Her hand is posed perfectly as well. I mentioned the hands in a lot of my critiques, and here it is perfect because this, how she has it, is much more visually compelling than if it was showing just the back of her hand. Her other arm extended on the table then introduces the second layer of the image, the set that includes the dogs as supporting characters to the main subject. The dogs aren't crucial to the success of the cover, but they are the unexpected twist that further draws you into the image. If I were to change one thing here, it would be this coat, because it would make sense for her to unbutton the coat before sitting down, and the stiffness of the fabric makes it fold rather than drape on her body. But even as is, this is a wonderful cover for Vogue China. The other covers are nice, but not as perfect. This other cover in the green coat has a much less successful execution of the blowing hair, but it is otherwise good. And these two are tonally more juvenile rather than fashion forward. These two photos from the editorial are gorgeous. They could have been cover options as well. These studio shots, a great play of proportion with the right poses. The smiling, laughing pictures aren't bad, they just go in a different direction, and I prefer the images that are more serious because she is out-modeling many models in the industry. I hope she continues to get a boatload of brand deals like Anna Kournikova, because it is rare to have an athlete that is so perfectly suited for this. Lorenzo Musetti covers La Repubblica. I think the photographer did a great job with this shoot, since so many people struggle to shoot athletes. Musetti looks fashionable and athletic. He is relaxed in the sofa, but the styling still shows off his strong legs, and the dropping tennis ball is just the perfect amount of his sport without overwhelming the image. The tones are balanced and a great play of texture. And that is where today's review is going to end. But for more about the fashion industry, check out the links below. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the covers this month, and be sure to subscribe to find out who comes out on top next month in the battle of the covers.